Hi everybody! Welcome to week 8 of our English 1020 online class. In this video, I'm going to talk briefly about the work that we're doing this week, which mainly consists of finalizing and turning in your iSearch papers. Then we will quickly close out this video because I know you guys have a lot of work to do revising and getting those papers done and probably doing stuff for your other classes. I hear that you guys have other classes. No, I'm kidding. I know that we all have a lot to do, and it's kind of almost getting to those midterm times, and we're a couple weeks away from spring break. So I'm going to talk through the rest of the iSearch process. I'm going to address a couple frequently asked questions, and then I'll just close this out so that you guys can get to it. All right, switching over to our view, let's see what we've got. So this week, the really one thing that you need to watch is this video. Congratulations, you're doing your watch activity for this week. In terms of reading, of course, you're going to read through your own paper, revising as needed. Perhaps our earlier activity of revising by reading aloud might show you some areas that are really helpful for revision. You might use reading aloud as a revision activity for your entire paper. It's an activity that I use personally for my own writing. It helps me catch a lot of little things that I might not catch otherwise. So just a little plug for that. Also, you'll be reading through your classmates' full drafts. Up until this point, you've looked at each other's intros and you've looked at one source write-up. But this week, I'm asking you to look at the whole narrative and give each other some good feedback. In terms of writing, really just paying attention to your classmates' drafts and giving them some comments, especially on areas that perhaps you haven't looked at before. Your DJ number 8 is a reflection with a portfolio moment. So just remember that we have that portfolio coming at the end of the semester. Think about the files that you want to upload to whatever system you're using. Google Drive, maybe you're using OneDrive, maybe you just have a folder on your desktop. But somewhere you should be stashing away pieces of writing that help you think about your learning, especially as it relates to those 4 course learning outcomes of reading, writing, researching, and reflecting. If those 4 things that I just said sound foreign to you, take a gander back at our syllabus because they're all listed there and described for you. Last but not least, getting your submission draft of Project 2 finalized. One of the great things about Project 2 is that it is, excuse me, primarily a narrative. So really, excuse me, you're telling the story of your research on your topic. Now, let me grab my tea so that I don't cough in your faces. All right, ready to go. So when you're writing a narrative, you're telling the story of your research process. And I've heard from many of you that one thing or another has popped up that has created a snag or an issue that you've needed to address in your process. Whether that has been, I need to come up with a new question, or I'm having trouble finding scholarly sources for this topic. Whatever it is that you've had to deal with and change about this paper is part of your research process, and you should write about it in your iSearch. It's a big thing to have to change your question, and you can absolutely put your first question and then describe the process of why you had to change it to your second question. You can absolutely talk about what happened the first couple of times you tried to find a scholarly source. And then what did you have to change? Was it key search terms? Did you have to switch over to looking at things through the library database? Did you actually just kind of wash your hands of the library and go to Google Scholar? Whatever it was that you did because of the snag, you should write about that because that's a part of your research process. So just remember that there's no wrong thing to write about. And that little ding says I have another email. So I'll keep us moving here. When we look at our calendar, really, we don't have a whole lot going on aside from finishing project 2. So make sure if you're going to have a Shitty First Draft conference with me, I will be in my office for office hours on Thursday from noon to 2. You can stop by anytime, or you can shoot me an email anytime from today until then. On Friday-ish, you want to make sure that you have looked at everybody's drafts that you're going to look at. You need to look at 2 classmates' drafts. You need to put a comment for higher, middle, and lower order concerns, and 1 probative question. So make sure that you're giving each other full and considerate feedback on your drafts, which I know you'll do because you're already doing great at that. And then finally, once you get your iSearch ready to go, you can upload it and take a gander at our next project description. Other than that, it's just revising, giving feedback, doing some reflection, and making sure that you're setting aside pieces of writing to go in your portfolio for the end of the semester, and driving safely. It has been the topic of conversation in the English department today of when the snow will come and how much there will be. So luckily, we have an online class. We don't have to think about it too hard, but I want everyone to be safe and try to stay warm out there. And, oh, I had one more thing I was going to say, but I'll switch back out of our Canvas view to chat with you about that. Okay. So the thing that I wanted to chat with you guys about was grades. As you have probably seen, I did finally finish grading your Project 1s. So we did a tutorial in last week's video to show you guys how to access my comments. I both put comments in the rubric and inline comments in your paper. If you have questions about any of that feedback from me, please don't hesitate to email or to stop by during office hours. I'm always happy to continue the conversation about your writing at any time, really. So to that end, because I really focused hard on getting your Project 1s turned back into you, I have a lot of homework grading to catch up on this week. So thank you for your patience as I get all caught up this week so that I will be ready for the onslaught of your iSearch papers next week. If you have any questions about your grades, I did send out early academic assessment grades this past week. So much grading. And if you have any questions about where you're at in the class, or if you have any questions overall about things that feel shaky that you want to clear up, you can always talk to me via email, in my office, via Skype. You can also, for sure, go to your peer mentor if you have concerns about the class or just anything in general. They are really lovely people. Hit up your peer mentors. They are super knowledgeable and super helpful. All right. I think that does it for housekeeping and general announcements for this week. Hope to hear from you guys. Again, stay warm, stay out of the snow if you can, and I will talk to you next week. All right. Bye, everybody.